In September 2014, Microsoft, a company that just wrote off $7.6 billion on the Nokia acquisition, announced they were buying Minecraft for $2.5 billion. $2.5 billion for a game that looked like it was made in the 90s. A game that was already available on every platform, including Microsoft's own competitors. The gaming press lost their minds. Analysts called it desperation. Even the creator himself, Notch, seemed confused about why anyone would pay that much for his game. And yet, a decade later, it's one of the most important acquisitions Microsoft has ever made. But not for the reasons you think. You see, Microsoft wasn't really buying Minecraft to dominate the gaming world, and they didn't buy it to make a killer exclusive for Xbox. They bought it for something far more valuable, something that no one else saw. The 100 million active users already playing Minecraft, who would willingly let Microsoft experiment on them. Let's rewind to early 2014. Satya Nadella had just become Microsoft's new CEO, and he was in charge of a company that was in the middle of an identity crisis. Microsoft was the empire Windows built. The problem was, Windows was slowly becoming irrelevant. Everyone was using mobile, and Microsoft's phone business was a disaster. The company was bleeding money. Xbox One had just launched, and it was getting destroyed by PlayStation 4. And culturally, Microsoft was known as the company that killed good products through bureaucracy and bad decisions. Their previous CEO, Steve Ballmer, thought that the problem was that they weren't in enough markets. But Nadella realized their problem was much deeper. They weren't learning fast enough. You see, back in 2014, Microsoft was still a traditional software company. They released product updates in cycles. They released Office 2013, then there was nothing until Office 2016. Features were planned 2 years in advance, and then they released them hoping that they got things right. Meanwhile, Google and Facebook were running hundreds of A/B tests every day. They ship a feature to 1% of users, measure everything, and then reiterate in days. Amazon was building infrastructure that let them deploy code every 11.6 seconds. But Microsoft couldn't do this. Not at scale, and not with real users. They had data from Windows, sure, but Windows users weren't doing anything interesting. They were writing Excel spreadsheets and browsing Facebook, and they definitely couldn't experiment on them without setting off privacy alarms. What Microsoft needed was a platform with millions of engaged users who were actively creating, building, and collaborating. Users who wouldn't freak out if features changed. Users young enough that they'd be using the technology for the next 50 years. And users who'd opt into whatever Microsoft wanted to try. And that's when Notch decided to sell. In 2014, Minecraft was the second best-selling video game of all time. And it was still growing, with over 100 million registered users across every platform imaginable. PC, Mac, Linux, Xbox, PlayStation, iOS, Android, and even the Raspberry Pi. But the numbers don't explain why Minecraft was different. You see, every other successful game at the time was designed to maximize engagement through carefully crafted gameplay. Call of Duty's multiplayer was calibrated to trigger dopamine hits. World of Warcraft used reward schedules like a slot machine. Even casual games like Candy Crush were engineered to keep you playing and keep you paying. But for Minecraft, that wasn't the case. Minecraft gave you blocks and said, go figure it out. No tutorial, no quest markers, no progression system telling you what to do next. And somehow, millions of people, especially kids, were spending thousands of hours building things. Not because the game was addictive, but because it was an empty canvas, just waiting for players to make their mark. And this is what made it so valuable, but not for the reasons you're probably thinking. You see, Minecraft players weren't consumers. They were creators. They were running servers, writing mods, creating custom maps, building their own mini-games inside the game, and they were collaborating in groups of hundreds to build entire cities. Not to mention that they were doing this all voluntarily, generating massive amounts of data about how people create, collaborate, and solve problems in a digital environment. Microsoft's gaming division wanted Minecraft because it would sell Xbox consoles. But Nadella saw something else. He saw the world's biggest test lab. And here's where the acquisition gets interesting. Phil Spencer, the man who had just taken over Xbox, was pushing hard for Minecraft. His pitch was straightforward. It's the biggest game in the world. Kids love it, adults love it. Let's make it exclusive for Xbox. But that's not the pitch that won, because if that was the goal, then the $2.5 billion price tag made no sense. Minecraft was already on Xbox, so Microsoft was already getting a cut. Making it exclusive meant cutting off revenue from 70% of the player base. The math didn't work. Nadella's pitch, on the other hand, was very different. He said Minecraft was a platform for testing Microsoft's future. But to understand this, we need to look at what Microsoft was working on in 2014. First, they had Azure, Microsoft's cloud computing. It was growing, but losing billions trying to catch up with Amazon's AWS. They were working on artificial intelligence. Their entire research division had just been reorganized around machine learning. And they had cross-platform services. Nadella's strategy was simple: mobile first, cloud first, which meant Microsoft needed to work everywhere, not just on Windows. And Minecraft was the perfect place for testing. You had millions of users generating content constantly. You had complex multiplayer interactions that required cloud infrastructure. You had user-generated content that could train AI models. You had a young enough audience that would adopt to new features without the baggage of expecting Microsoft products to work in a certain way. And most importantly, you had a product where experimentation was expected. Minecraft's whole culture was about mods and customization. Players actively wanted new features, new tools, and new possibilities. Microsoft couldn't test AI features in Office. Just imagine if Word started auto-completing your sentences wrong in 2015. People would have gone mad, and they couldn't experiment with cloud features in Windows. If they moved customers' files around, then they'd likely switch to Mac. But in Minecraft, it would work. Ask a player to try out a new kind of collaborative building tool powered by machine learning? Sure, why not? So, what actually happened after the acquisition? Well, this is where it gets interesting. Because Microsoft didn't make Minecraft exclusive. They didn't gut the team and replace them with corporate drones. Instead, they did something much smarter. They kept Minecraft on every platform. And they even expanded to more platforms. They let Mojang operate independently, and then quietly started using Minecraft to test every major technology Microsoft was developing. In 2016, they launched Minecraft Education Edition. Sounds like a nice PR move, right? But with this new edition, they could get Minecraft into schools, with features like the Code Builder, which lets students use block-based programming to automate tasks in the game. They also introduced chemistry features, where kids could combine elements and observe reactions. And they built assessment tools for teachers to measure engagement and learning. However, Education Edition was actually a testbed for collaborative tools that would later show up in Teams. They were learning how teachers and students coordinated in shared digital spaces, and what kind of controls worked, and how to manage permissions in group projects. Then came Realms, Minecraft's subscription service for hosted multiplayer servers. This was the Azure infrastructure testing at scale. Millions of users running persistent servers, generating load patterns and stressing failover systems. All the lessons Microsoft learned from running Realms fed directly into Azure's gaming infrastructure, which later became PlayFab, which now powers back-end services for many major games. Then in 2017, they released the Better Together update, unifying Minecraft across all platforms with crossplay and a shared marketplace. This wasn't about selling more skins, although they made billions from doing so. This was Microsoft learning how to build a unified platform across Windows, Xbox, iOS, Android, and PlayStation. Every technical problem that they solved for Minecraft's cross-platform play informed them how they'd later build cross-platform features for Office, for Teams, and for their entire Microsoft 365 ecosystem. And then there's the AI stuff, and this is where it gets crazy. You see, Microsoft has been testing AI in Minecraft since 2016, and to be fair, most people have no idea. They started with Project Malmo, an AI research platform that used Minecraft as a testing environment. The idea was that Minecraft's open-ended world made it perfect for training AI agents to solve complex tasks. But here's the crazy part. They weren't just testing AI to play Minecraft. They were using the data from millions of Minecraft players to train AI systems, period. Think about it. What happens in Minecraft? Players run into problems all the time, such as needing to cross a ravine, and they solve it. Maybe they build a bridge. Maybe they fill it in. Or maybe they build a tunnel under it. Every solution is different, but they all work. And that's exactly the kind of problem-solving data you need to train AI that can help humans solve real problems. In 2021, Microsoft announced that OpenAI was using Minecraft as a training environment. That's the same OpenAI that Microsoft invested $1 billion into, and the same OpenAI that would later release ChatGPT. Coincidence? I think not. You see, what Microsoft was actually doing was using Minecraft's player data and structure to train models on how humans approach open-ended creative tasks. Things like, how do people break down big problems into smaller ones? How do they learn from failure? How do they collaborate? And Minecraft generated data for all of it. But the funny part is that Minecraft players consented to all of it. They wanted Microsoft to use their data to make the game better. The community actively helped train these systems by playing the game they loved. But you can't do that with Office users. And you certainly can't do that with Windows users. But Minecraft players? They built redstone computers for fun. They were already the kind of people who would nerd out over being part of training AI. But the question is, did it work? Well, let's look at where we are now. Minecraft has made Microsoft more than $3 billion in revenue, not counting what they've learned from it, and is still growing. It's the best-selling game of all time, but the revenue is almost beside the point. You see, Azure's gaming services, built partially on the lessons from Minecraft, has generated $16.3 billion in the last year. Microsoft Teams, which learned collaboration patterns from Education Edition, is central to Microsoft's cloud business. The company's AI research, trained partially on Minecraft data, led directly to their partnership with OpenAI and their current position as the leader in enterprise AI. And Minecraft itself became the platform for testing Microsoft's AI vision. In 2023, they started rolling out AI-generated content tools. In 2024, they announced AI co-pilots for creation. Everything Microsoft learned about building AI for creative work, they tested in Minecraft first. So, while $2.5 billion in 2014 looked insane, today it looks like the best money Microsoft has ever spent. Not because Minecraft was profitable, but because Minecraft gave Microsoft something they couldn't buy anywhere else: the ability to learn. But here's the thing I find interesting. Microsoft wasn't actually the first company to buy a platform as a testing ground. Google bought YouTube, partially to figure out video infrastructure and content moderation at scale. Facebook bought Instagram, partially to learn mobile social patterns. However, Microsoft's play with Minecraft was far more ambitious. They weren't buying expertise or eliminating competition. They were buying a user base that would opt into becoming test subjects for every major technology bet the company was making. And it worked, because of something Notch probably didn't even consider when he sold: Minecraft's culture. The game attracted people who wanted to build, experiment, and tinker. These weren't passive consumers. They were exactly the kind of users you'd want if you was trying to figure out how humans and AI could work together. Microsoft couldn't have built that culture from scratch, and they couldn't have bought it from anyone else. Minecraft was, and still is, unique, not because of its code, but because of its community. So now this brings us to 2026. Microsoft is the only big tech company that has a billion-user platform, where people actively create content and collaborate, where experimentation is culturally accepted, and where the user base is young enough to still matter in 20 years. And that's worth a whole lot more than $2.5 billion. That's worth more than Minecraft's revenue. Because every feature Microsoft wants to test for the future, AI co-pilots, mixed reality creation tools, decentralized social features, or whatever comes next, they can test it in Minecraft first, with millions of willing users. Google has search data, Facebook has social data, Amazon has commerce data. But Microsoft has Minecraft players showing them how humans want to create in digital spaces, and that's the future. And when Nadella pitched this to the board in 2014, they thought that he was crazy paying $2.5 billion for a testing ground, for a game about blocks. But he wasn't buying a game. He was buying the ability to see the future before his competitors. And 10 years later, it's working. The gaming press is still writing about whether Minecraft was a good acquisition for Xbox. But they're asking the wrong question. Minecraft was never about Xbox. It was about making sure that Microsoft could still learn, adapt, and compete in a world where standing still meant death. So it turns out sometimes the best way to predict the future is to buy a sandbox game and just watch what the people build.